lock the doors. Downtown Kingsport Center Street, downtown Kingsport, Tennessee, right here on Broad Street. This is the Kingsport Public Library. There's a little park next door to it. Let's walk through the park. This is called Glen Bruce Park. Grass is nice and neatly cut. It's been cool over the last couple of days. Somebody's left their hat right here. Look here. See it? Left their ball cap, their hat. Doesn't notice it's missing. Probably in the back of their backpack or something. Let me fix my sandal. Glen Bruce Park. Dogs must be on a leash. Children must be supervised. I believe they just put this up too. That one right there, I could be wrong. Park Rose. It's about 50 minutes away from dark, so I'm just going to do a short video. Because I'm using my GoPro Hero 8 Black. On this October the 1st, 2020. It's about 7:05, I'd say about 7:10 p.m. It's nice and cool tonight. It's supposed to be, I think, about 39, 40. Tomorrow night it's supposed to be about 37 degrees. Today stayed relatively cool. I don't even know if we made it up to 60. I don't think we did. I could be wrong. No water here. This is a nice little park. Daffodils blooming. They're keeping it up pretty good. This building next door is used to be the old Kingsport Inn Hotel. Now it's a bank. I'm just going to walk all the way around the building and go back to the car. GoPros don't do good if it gets real close to dark. Stabilization gets crappy. And I refuse to buy another GoPro. And this is the Hero 8 Black. I've watched 1,000 videos on or 100 probably on the GoPro Hero 9. It doesn't do any better in low light conditions. So I'll probably just wait the first year and buy me a $2,000 camera. That's what I've got my eye on, a $2,000 camera. Sony. I hate to spend that kind of money on the camera. I don't know if I will or not. It's a lot of money to spend on the camera. And the lens for the camera I'm going to get, if you get a good lens part, you're looking anywhere from $400 to $700 a lens that attaches to the camera. So I don't know if I'm either going to get, maybe, I'm not sure, either the Sony a6500, the Sony a6600, or the brand new Sony a7 III. The Sony a7 III I think is $1,800 plus tax. The Sony a6600 I think is $1,600. We're talking about these cameras without the lens. The Sony a7 III is $1,800 without a lens, and the Sony a6600 is $1,600 without a lens. And the difference between the Sony a7 III and a6600 is simple. The difference is the Sony a7 III is a full frame sensor. That's the biggest sensor, in other words, you can buy on the camera. It's like shooting 35mm format. And the Sony a6600, the Sony a6600 is what you call a crop sensor, but it still has a large sensor. But I don't know, the main difference is the bigger the sensor in the camera, the better you can get better detail in the footage, especially videos. And the bigger the sensor, the better the low light performance. And the thing about the Sony a7 III, a full frame camera, the Sony a7 III, any full frame camera, the full frame lenses are more expensive than a crop sensor lens. And I guess I won't go into any more detail about that, talking about technicalities or the specifics, the specs, because if you don't really know a lot about cameras, you probably don't know what I'm talking about. But it is what it is. I really don't have that kind of money to fork out for a good camera like that right now anyway. I spend most of my money, I guess, paying bills and taking care of my 3-year-old daughter, putting gas in the car like everybody else, paying utility bills. We don't have to pay a water bill, we have to pay a light bill, and I pay the rent on the apartment. Sonia pays the car insurance. Charles Wright, poet. I know a lot of poetry. I can quote Emily Dickinson or Robert Frost. Charles Wright, poet. Over the Blue Ridge, the whisperer starts to let me read this. Charles Wright, poet. Over the Blue Ridge, the whisperer starts to whisper in tongues. Remembered landscapes are left in me, the way a bee leaves its sting. Charles Wright spent his formative years in Kingsport, and many of his poems feature the landscapes of the city and surrounding countryside. Wright's poems are praised for their innovative style and powerful images, and he is regarded as one of the most influential American poets of the early 21st century. According to Wright himself, his work explores 3 primary themes: language, landscape, and the idea of God. Well, I'd probably like him then. Anything has to do with God or landscape, nature. He has authored many volumes and won numerous awards, including the Pulitzer Prize for Poetry for Black Zodiac, 1998. In 2014 and 2015, he served as the United States Poet Laureate. Wright was born in Pickwick Dam, Tennessee on August 25th, 1935. I ain't got time because it's close to dark. I've never even heard of him, sad to say. I used to read a lot of poetry. I can quote Robert Frost, Emily Dickinson. Would you like me to quote a poem by Robert Frost? Let me see if I can remember this, and I haven't quoted it in a while. Well, I know one I know I can quote, but there's one a little bit longer. So I'm gonna go ahead and quote the shortest one. Nothing gold can stay. Nature's first green is gold. Her hardest hue to hold. Her early lace a flower, but only so an hour. Then leaf subsides to leaf, so Eden sank to grief. So dawn goes down today. Nothing gold can stay. But another one I can quote by Emily Dickinson is because I could not stop for death. Because I could not stop for death, he kindly stopped for me. The carriage held but just ourselves in immortality. He slowly drove, he knew no haste, and I had put away my labor and my leisure too for his civility. I can't make it rhyme because of the way it's worded, but I can quote that whole poem, and it's a lot longer, so probably nobody wants to listen to me quote a poem. It's about 3 minutes long. Well, I wouldn't say 3 minutes, probably 2 minutes. 2 minutes long. Nature first green is gold. Her hardest hue to hold. Her early lace a flower, but only so an hour. Then leaf subsides to leaf, so Eden sank to grief. So dawn goes down today, nothing goes can stay. 2 roads diverged in yellow wood, and sorry I could not travel both and be one traveler. Long I stood and looked down one as far as I could to where it bent in the undergrowth, then took the other as just as fair, having perhaps the better claim because it was grassy and wanted to wear. Though as for that, the passing there had one of them really about the same, and both that morning equally lay in leaves no steps had trodden black. Oh, I shall be telling this with a sigh, somewhere ages and ages hence. 2 roads diverged in the wood. Actually, the last time I quoted that poem was "The Road Not Taken" was 2005. I look at things sometimes from a poetic perspective. Like right now, it's early fall, leaves are changing colors, I noticed today that some of them's turning red tinted, orange, a little bit yellow. Not quite, not orange, kind of pinkish. Some of them kind of bronze looking colored. Not quite yellow yet. All right, I guess this will conclude my video. I'm downtown. It's not that many cars over here on this side of the street, New Street and Broad, but on the other end of Center Street, Broad Street, there's a lot of cars. I'm going to check out. I'll be a poet some other time. I'll be a poet some other time, don't you know it? Because this is your boy, the Big O, keeping it real like the Big O wheel. I'm walking down Broad Street in the cool weather. Nothing to worry. Nothing to worry. I walk step by step with an analytical perspective, looking at everything that nature has to hold, because that's the way Big O rolls. Big O's out with a shout. Please like, comment, subscribe if you haven't already. Be happy, positive, and focused. And remember, people, to always be good to yourself. I'll see you in the next video. Big O's a poet, don't you know it?